over there. Okay, so yeah, so right now it's just you and me, Marion. But I'm going to go through the standard intro. Hi, my name's Ken. It's Tuesday, March 21st, and it's 7 a.m. in Washington. It's like 1 p.m. in Strasbourg, and there's not a whole lot of people on right now. And I have no idea how many people registered. I should have looked, but we're here just to like talk about stuff and see what people want to talk about. You introduced yourself. You said you were SSP 21 and MSS 22. Which is way cool. Where was 21 again?
Strasbourg for me.
It was in Strasbourg.
Because it was Strasbourg, Grenada, and online. So
it was the pandemic. Yeah, it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
So these were the lost years, and it's unfortunate, but I'm glad you got to do it a little bit. And then the MSS, of course, that was kind of exciting. So I'm from the SSP 1989. So. Okay. The first one was 88, and that was at MIT. The second one was 89 in Strasbourg, and so I was there 34 years ago. Holy cow! Right, and then actually, my wife and I were working at NASA at the time. My wife and I. We were actually seconded from NASA to work in Strasbourg and help run the SSP in 97, 98, and 99. So when it was Houston and Cleveland. So I was from NASA Lewis, Cleveland, and so that one, I had helped write the proposal to bring it to Cleveland. So they had me go do this Houston one, then the Cleveland one, and then we stayed on for the third one in Thailand. So I got to do Thailand, and that was exciting. And then since then, I've lectured here and there, core lectures, but haven't really been that closely involved until I retired, and then now I'm VP for North America. And my goal here is to help set up a U.S. presence in North America. There's a visibility, an optics problem with American firms supporting, to any great degree, a European organization. So because of whatever, and so we're trying to help eliminate that optics. But at the same time, I'm trying to generate some increased visibility for ISU in the United States, because it definitely has been it's been suffering from a lack of visibility and stuff. So we're actually going to try to do some programs here that are going to be focused originally in the US, but can travel anywhere, sort of along the lines of the Executive Space Course, which, by the way, is happening right now in Strasbourg. So that's kind of exciting. I think another exciting thing that is going on in Strasbourg is the fact that they offer these electives that are open to everybody, the entire anybody, the entire community in Strasbourg. And so that's kind of exciting. And I don't know, during MSS 22, were the electives offered during your year?
No, so some people from outside got some grants or something like that to come with us. So for example, for the human performance in space, we got 2 older girls with us, but it was not open for everybody. So it's the first year I think it's open for everybody.
Yeah, so that's kind of exciting, because I think they're seeing some demand for that kind of stuff. And I think worldwide, especially here in the US, there's a huge appetite for space kind of education. And so this is why I think that there's a great opportunity for ISU. There's a lot of space education sort of programs popping up at many, many universities around the country. And so yeah. I mean, and the ISU is sitting back on its heels right now. So this is why we're trying to move forward and do something. I wanted to, I feel bad. It's just you and me. So I should just ask you, what your questions are. I'm going to sit here online. You're not obliged to sit here with me the whole time.
No, I have a bit of time, so it's fine.
That's good. That's good. But
no, but yeah. I want to continue on the fact that ISU is not really visible all around the world. So basically, I studied in Canada, and I learned about, and I'm French, but I learned about ISU in Canada and not in France at all. And even when you talk with people now, around Strasbourg, they don't know that we have a space university in Strasbourg. So,
After
I know that.
Years.
Yes. So I know we went that at the end of the SSP by saying that we need maybe there is things to rebrand ISU or to do something for the visibility, because I'm sure way more people, they want to do that, but they just don't know us.
Yeah. And
so
yeah. So, I mean, so let me, are you looking on a little phone? I think you're looking at me on a phone, which is fine. Is that correct?
No,
Or
no,
on
I'm
the
on the laptop, but I'm on
laptop?
the sofa.
I'm going to share. Nice. I'm going to share my screen with you and you're going to see
Yeah.
what's going on. So there is a website called, we started advertising on a website called Parabolic Arc, NASAWatch.com, which is this one. And then
Okay.
there's a thing called spaceref.com. And on these, we started advertising.
Nice. Okay.
And what it is it's like, and I've got this, it's an animated GIF. There we go. It's an animated GIF that, ends up with this QR code, but it talks about, the MSS, it talks about the SSP primarily. And I think in this one, she even mentions the electives program. But
Okay.
I mean, but this is kind of the first advertising ISU has been doing here in the States, because advertising is expensive and ISU, as you know, is cash strapped all the time. And part of the problem is that, there are different mindsets, and in Europe, paying for an education is not normal. It's, people I think are becoming more and more accustomed to the idea, but the idea of paying a lot of money for an education is not normal. Here, I'll show you on Space Ref. Where is she? There she is right there. And actually, I'll be changing the faces of these. She's been up for about a week. I should be getting the new one up today, I think, with what's his the Professor Timao. Yeah, I've got him there. The first one, it was me, but I decided to put the profs in here, and we're going to change the message. It's really exciting about what's going to happen pretty soon. And just a secret between you and me, but like ISU is this close to getting the MSS accredited, this close.
Yeah, I was part of I was like at the meeting of the committee because they asked some of alumni to go there. So, and basically as I'm MSS student too, we got a lot of conversation about that because it's coming soon. So I really hope that they will have it, because it will change a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard the response that came back yet after, because they met with a bunch of students, and have you heard about what the response was?
But I think like we got the first step. So basically like I saw that the master changed a bit, but I think it's the first step to go to the accreditation, but I don't have the official answer.
Yeah. So I'll just say that, I can't say anything officially, but I will say that the accrediting organization that came and interviewed the students, which included you, were very, very, very impressed.
Okay.
You guys knocked it out of the park. They said, the accrediting organization said, did you bring in the top students? And of course we joke and say, we scraped the bottom of the barrel. I got whoever we could. But they were really impressed with you guys. And so whatever you guys said, you did the right things. It was perfect.
Yeah, they ask us the same stuff. And we're like, no, we're not at the top, because they don't have time for that. But basically, because they were like, oh, you're really singing well. And I'm like, no, it's just true. It's it's a real all experience. So if you don't do ISU, you cannot really understand ISU. So
it's so different, and it's so different that the accreditors, they don't encounter this kind of thing almost ever, if ever. And so so good job, thank you very much. You really made.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Our job is to make our bosses look good, and you made Pascal look like a genius, so which is perfect. That's exactly what you did. And so we're hoping that in the not too distant future, you're going to hear some really good news, because it's got to go to the European level. And so we'll see what happens there. So, but you're not going to have to hold your breath very long. It's going to happen pretty soon. So that's kind of exciting. But so this is being recorded, and I have no idea if anybody's ever going to watch this recording, but what, okay, I'm going to do something kind of fun and crazy. I'm going to talk about a new program that I'm starting up here in the States. But like I said, it can absolutely take place anywhere in the world, and we plan to move it to different places as it kind of grows. But let me find the thing. Is this it?
Yeah, I saw something on LinkedIn, and I was curious to know a bit more about it.
So oh, that's not it. Hold on, let me stop sharing that one. but it is the crash course. But I have a great presentation that I just made from it. Oh, there it is. So this is more of a crash course or this is more of a presentation for folks, who have never heard about the crash course. And in fact, just between you and me, I had ChatGPT make this presentation for me.
Nice.
I figured, yeah, let's see what happens. And it actually did not bad. So I did have to modify it. I had to modify so ChatGPT did the content, and then I used the design feature in PowerPoint to make it pretty. And then I had to customize it, of course. But it's called Crash Course. And I know some people have said, oh my God, that's a terrible word to use for the space industry, but oh well. I mean, in the United States, at least in American vernacular, crash course has a specific meaning. That means it's like cramming for an exam. You're gonna spend not 100% of your time focused on this topic, period, for a short period of time, just because you got to get it done. And so that's what this is about, is learning about the space sector in a very short period of time. A little bit about ISU, all about this, founded in 87, 3 eyes, 5,400 alumni. So this crash course is 1 week intensive course on site at whatever host organization or whatever organization. So we can go to a host and do it for their folks, or we can hold it at a location and have folks come to us. So it's transportable anywhere. We can customize the content based on specific needs of a host, and it's ideal for professionals and grad students. I might want to change that. And in fact, the target audience is, grad students, professionals at any stage, managers, workers, space sector and related industries, specialists and generalists. I mean, and global representation absolutely is super important. The core structure, I'm moving me around here. Core structure, we're going to cover all 7 departments in a very short amount of time. Each department is going to have a 3.5 hours worth of lecture over the course. Okay. So it's
really short.
It's very short. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell the story of each department, past, present, future. So that's basically the 3 hours. The first half hour is an overview. This is what the department is. These are the topics it covers. And then we're going to cover the major events, major organizations and personalities, major milestones for each department in the past, the present, and then forward looking. So that's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday blitzkrieg. And then there will be interdisciplinary discussions that are held in the afternoons, evenings. We're planning to have an alumni gathering one of the nights. And so it'll be there won't be team projects. There's just no time for something. So you just have to strip away the stuff that you can't necessarily do. There are 7 departments that we're going to be talking about, and these are the basic SSP departments. Yeah. And that the thing called fundamentals, right? Which are sort of like this, but not the same. And so, and then of course you've got the 3 major themes within the MSS now, the reconfigured MSS. Yeah. I'm trying to at first I was going to try to translate between them, try to make them consistent. And I can still do that. But for now, I'm just kind of sticking with the departments because they're pretty well established. So that's that. So here's the typical alumni map. We're a pretty diverse community of experts, and this is kind of what the course is bringing you into the network, right? And so that's sort of a very important aspect of the outcome of the course. And so there's then the call to action, which is be a part of the global space sector. You get this valuable 3i education. You can empower your space career and enhance your professional network. So enroll now. That is not the website you can enroll at, because there is no website to enroll at just yet. But yeah, I mean, this is actually the first time I'm presenting this ChatGPT version of the presentation, but it's actually not terrible. So what's at the end? Do I have more? Oh, I do have more. These are what the hosts would do. And this is what, provide facilities and equipment. They would collaborate in content planning, and they would help identify participants, whereas we would coordinate all the logistics, deliver the content, and provide all the meals and break service and stuff. So it's sort of, this is sort of what I'm trying to implement sometime actually in the next 8 to 12 weeks. I'm hoping to do this sometime after the end of this academic semester, which in the United States ends in early May. So right after the academic semester ends, I'm hoping to have the first offering of this. We're hoping to have on the order of 30 to 40 people in the class. So now it's just a matter of where do we do it and how do we find the participants. I'm kind of working in the background on how to take their money for folks who want to join. But so we've got some ideas, and I don't know if you remember back to the first slide on that presentation, but that's one of the locations I'm thinking about having it.
Okay.
Because I could easily go find a hotel, you know, and with a big
So-
conference room.
So basically the professors, if I can go down like that, but like will be like ISU like professor from like MSS, so it will be just like people like coming like from really the industry and giving classes on that.
That's a great question. So the way I've envisioned it and the way to keep costs down is to get one professor, one lecturer for each department.
Yes.
That one lecturer will be there the entire 5 days.
Yes.
And they'll interact with the participants.
But so depending on the location, the lecturer can change. It's not just one lecturer like for the whole
That's
program.
right. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's going to depend who's available when we offer these, because these are not going to be available at the same time, or so if a company says, hey, we want to hold it at our outdoor, let's say Boeing says we want to hold it for 40 of our people on this date, then now I've got to find lecturers that can do it for that day, for that week, which might be tough. But I've put out a call to all the global faculty to say, hey, here's what it's doing. Here's, are you interested? I don't know when it's going to be, but we're going to sort of entice them by actually paying them. And so that will be something that is a little bit different than from other ISU programs that have been conducted like this.
Yeah, and this can be really nice because depending on the location, basically you don't have the same space background.
Yeah.
So like it can change also like depending on where, like US or like Europe or like Asia, it really depends.
And I'll tell you that right now I'm putting together the set of lecturers for this first one, even though I don't have a specific date yet, but I'm reaching back 20 years into the lecture pool. So I am putting together right now what I would consider the all-star team I want people who know ISU.
Yeah.
I mean, really know it better than you and me. I mean, and who could do their lectures in their sleep, right? Because then it makes my job easy. Because ultimately, once we've gotten this ball rolling and we're doing it a bunch of time, it's not going to be me running this thing. I want somebody else to run it. So, but this first one, I want to make it as easy as possible, and minimize as much uncertainty. So I've got big names from the past, the people that were big names when I was there 20, 30 years ago. I'm pulling these people out of retirement. And so I'm talking to certain people, and I don't want to mention their names, but many of them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the lecture rolls from 20 years ago and think of people who are like senior in their organization, those are the people that I'm kind of trying to pull out of retirement for at least this first one, get it going so we can try it out, and then they'll provide me input and feedback, and then we'll be able to make improvements to it. So I'm kind of excited about it. It's hopefully it's going to be successful, but you never know until you try, right?
True.
And at the same time, hopefully it helps us set up a North American ISU office, which is kind of what we're trying to do.
Okay, nice. And so as I understood, you don't still have the first where will be, etc. But
yeah,
do you want more like companies or like universities, or like you don't really mind?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And so so the Space Sector Crash Course, SSCC, is the first variant. It's like the vanilla, it's the baseline.
Okay.
So we have an SSDD, which stands for Diversity Development, where now the organization you go to is a historically Black college or university in the United States, or a minority serving organization, like a Hispanic serving or an indigenous people serving organization. And you go to their organization, and in exchange for the use of their facilities, they get to provide, I don't know, 5, 10 participants to sit in on the class. We get other people to come in and pay full price. You give the lectures, and the hope there is that the people that come in and pay full price from companies, they learn who these people at this minority serving institution are, and then they can hopefully it provides employment opportunities for these other attendings to get, to get a job in the industry. And then that way it helps the industry companies diversify their workforce, and it helps build the relationship between those companies and the HBCU and the minority serving institution. So that's the DD variant. We're looking at an EE variant, which stands for en español. So we want to do this en español. And so we're looking for lecturers that can provide their lectures in Spanish, so that these would be offered to Hispanic serving organizations, as well as, North America, right? So start moving down toward Mexico and down into South America is where we'd like to go with this. So that's the EE version. The FF version, so I'm working through the alphabet, right? So the FF version is called the focused follow-up. If you've taken the CC version, you say, oh, this is great, we love it, except we know all about engineering. We want to learn more about policy and law, and we want to learn more about business and management. Then you can have a focused follow-up where we come in and we customize the content for those things.
Okay, this can be really nice, because basically, like, sometimes you just want to know, but depending on your domain, you just want to know about the other domain and not yours, because you already know it. And for some companies can be really good, like, to educate their people on some subject they don't have.
Right, right. And that makes us look more like some of these other programs that are popping up now. The thing that differentiates us from many of these other programs that are coming up now are they might focus on engineering and policy, or they might focus on engineering and business. And yeah, we do that, but we do all this other stuff. The world is not just policy and business. Yeah, those are very popular, and that's where all the money is right now. But there's a broader spectrum. So, but you're absolutely right. We can focus, and we can look more like those folks. And then also, kind of the idea of the crash course is it'd be an entry level, sort of an appetizer to the other ISU programs.
Yeah, I think it can be a good thing, like, for people to just try ISU.
Right, that's right.
Before moving somewhere, or like doing SSP or MSS,
yeah. And then I do have plans for a GG variant, which has something to do with gender. Maybe it's gender and geography. I'm working my way through it. So
through the alphabets.
Yeah. And I can reach back to AA and BB, but that's it. So we did put here, let me see if I can find it real quickly. We did put a thing on LinkedIn, and this is kind of the, since I know I'm about to, no, here it is. Since I know I'm about to hold one of these things in the next 2 to 3 months, I put together a flyer, and I'm going to show it to you here in a minute. So there is an ISU share screen. No, basic. Here we go, right there. So there is an ISU web page, and so this is the flyer I put together. And of course,
I saw it,
yeah. So
it's for that I learned about it.
Actually. Yeah, oh, great. So perfect. So you saw it. So coming soon. So this is where the coming soon, and the dates and the location are coming, and so I'm hoping that this is my version of what ChatGPT made. I made this, and ChatGPT that. It's not that different, yeah. So, and another thing I've done is I'm really pushing this QR code, and you'll see the QR code is right there up in my background. Yeah. I don't know if you clicked on this, but this takes you to a LinkedIn or a landing page. It has all the links for all the programs. It has a link to the library, to the photo pages. It's got everything on it, and I'm trying to maintain that. I'm trying to get Geraldine to maintain this thing, because it's got links to the electives. It's got links to this flyer. It's got links to a history of SSP flyer banner. It's got links. It tells you what all the dates are for applications. It talks about the upcoming executive space courses. So, it's made for mobile devices. It's a quick. It'll point you to the ISU website if you need to go there, but it's just something that's a little more quicker loading, and something that will take you, hopefully answer all your questions. And I tried to provide as many buttons for sending an email to admission so people can apply. So that's kind of where that's going. So
Okay,
So,
this is nice.
so I'm kind of pushing that too. So on all my banners, I'm putting that on all the flyers, trying to get people to go there for more information. So, and we're going to be looking at a number of hits, number of clicks on site visits, based on those advertisements we're putting out there to see if there's any sort of connection to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of the story. I mean, this is, as you know, this is the third alumni day, kind of discussion. And this is probably the hardest of the 3 time zones,
Yeah, 7 a.m. for the US is kind of early.
Well, but I'm trying to hit Australia. I'm trying to hit Asia. I'm trying to hit, anybody else out there that's kind of east of India, actually, east of the Middle East, because Middle East region could absolutely participate.
Yeah, true.
At, at the noontime.
And you just find a friend girl.
Yeah.
Not available tonight, so.
No problem. But yeah, so that's kind of where things are at. I mean, I'm trying to get some excitement going here. I went to satellite. Let's see. Let me see if the picture's here. Yeah. So let me show you another. I'm going to screen on the same page. You probably saw this. So here's a picture from.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Let me make it bigger. So that's Katrina Melagrana. She works in Aerospace Corp, and this is a guy named Mark Skinner, who he was in the EMBA. ISU offered a EMBA for a couple years, and he did that. But this is me. And we're at the Satellite 2023 conference, which is here in DC. So it was a very quick
walk.
Yeah, that's right. It's about a 30 minute walk from my house. But you see what I'm wearing around my neck here.
3D printed
ISU.
Yeah, I still have on my keys.
Oh, you have the little one. Good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was handing out a bunch of little ones. Didn't have the keychain, but I handed out a bunch of little ones. Joelle has one that is this big. So I only printed a couple that were this big, and so Joelle's got one still. But yeah, so I was walking around Satellite, and again, a lot of people at the Satellite conference, many people had never heard of ISU. Yeah. So it's just something that we've got to work on here. And so this is why advertising, I think, is going to be important, and visibility, and getting people through programs and getting them talking again. So we'll see if we can stir the pot a little bit and get some action going. I'm trying to go to conferences. I'm trying to, get some visibility, but it just takes time.
Yeah, no, this is for sure. But it's really good things like you're doing that, basically, because I really think like it can help ISU. And it's like when you are in the community, like you can really see how everybody helps the others. It's like on LinkedIn, you can just shoot like a message on, like, say, hey, I need someone, and there's always someone from ISU answering you.
Well, that's it. That's it.
So, but you need to find ISU first. So this is the problem now.
And part of the issue is that we've got we say we have an alumni community of 5,400 people. I don't know how good our database is in terms of reaching those 5,400, and people change all the time. And so it's nobody's, it's not a matter of not trying. It's just that people email change, and that happens. So it's totally understandable, but there's nobody that we don't have a good way of contacting our alumni or even our global faculty in a consistent and, and way that's effective kind of thing. So that's kind of what.
Yeah, I'm just out of ISU, so I still receive everything and I'm still using my ISU email, so it's fine. But it's true that if you don't use it anymore, you just have no news at all.
Well, but for example, so your SSP21, you got added to the database, and you get all the stuff that comes out when it comes out. I don't think SSP22 people have been added yet. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for that, but, so we need to clean up the rosters. We need to make sure, we've got MailChimp, and we've got a limit on how many addresses we can put there, and we're close to the limit. So we've got to clean that up and figure out what's going on there, and maybe raise the limit if we need more space to, manage our contacts. But there's not a whole lot of, I would say, a whole lot of use, let alone sophisticated use of tools. And so that's what we're trying to do. And that's kind of what the landing page, I was going,
I will go on it after that.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't click on it. I just saw basically the flyer. I was like, oh, this is really nice. And I was like, I need to know more. Then now I know more.
Now, you know, and
But,
that's what that,
yeah.
and that thing, and the beauty of the landing page is it gets updated often. So like when a deadline passes, boom, I strike that out, and you know, and so people know that that's passed, and so we've got a bunch of information in there that's kind of placeholders, but once we get specifics, boom, it'll go in there, and it's so easy to change. And now it's just a matter of accustoming the Strasbourg folks, you know, Geraldine and the marketing folks,
Yeah.
to do next sort of stuff to maintain that at least accurate information that's available to the community. So it just is going to take time, and hopefully, you know, we can get there fast sooner than later. But you know, we're just going to try to keep moving forward little by little.
Okay.
So,
But this is really nice to see that, like, someone, at least, you know, like this kind of problem, and someone is trying to take care of that. It's like, because like when you're doing the master, or even the SSP, you don't really like think about that because you are in your program and you don't ask this kind of question. But once you're alumni and you can see these kind of problems or miscommunication,
yeah,
can
you just
really...
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know. So when I was in Strasbourg, so I worked in Strasbourg for 3 years, 97, 98, 99. And this is before the building was built, right? So we were over across the way in the original buildings there. And you know, I remember Patrick French laying out the blueprints for the building and what it was going to look like, and everything was in design. So it was a long, long time ago. But even then, you know, there were issues that we were encountering, and you know, having basically the same problems, and you know, everybody's really working hard, and I think, you know, there's no malicious intent, obviously, and everybody's super competent. It's just, I think everybody's super overloaded and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, from an American perspective, you go, oh my God, the French labor laws, they're making us go nuts. You know, in fact, I was just reading this morning, I'm reading this handbook of organizational change and innovation. And today I'm talking about how organizations respond to regulation. And they were talking about how, you know, different, you know, there are obviously different levels of regulation that protect the customer, that protect the worker, that protect, you know, the investors in different countries. And of course, protecting the worker is more important in Europe than America. And I was amazed that in Asia, it seems to be somewhere in between Europe and America, the worker, because, you know, and I always assumed maybe Asia had a greater extent of worker protection, because like in China and well, at least in China, you know, there has to be a party member on the board of any organization once it gets any size to make sure that the workers are being protected. And so, you know, I guess I just always assumed that, you know, that was like probably the most extreme, but according to the book I just read, Europe is probably... Well, that's it. I mean, how come you're not out on the streets protesting? You know, you got to work another 2 years now.
Yeah, every day they're protesting now. So
yeah, in fact, our trains got canceled the last time we were there in February. I'm coming next week.
Yeah, I have no idea how you will be able to go to Strasbourg. It's like really a mess. Like me, I'm going like in south of France this weekend, and I have no idea how I will go. For now, I have a train, maybe, but
maybe. No, in fact, I'm staying in Paris, so it's for the
so it should be fine.
Astronautical Congress meetings. So, you know, but I am taking RER. I am, you know, these things should be running, you know, so we'll see. Huh?
Yeah.
But this is not new for me. I mean, when we were there 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and when we were there a long time ago, last century, we were there last century. When we were there last century, you know, there were tram strikes, there were train strikes, there were Air France strikes.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon, and this is the beauty of France. You know, the government
we are still the same.
That's right. We love it. There was a Michael Moore movie on healthcare a couple years ago, and he compared the American healthcare system to the French, and talked about the French protesting and the French striking. And he was saying, in America, you know, the people are afraid of the government, but in France, the government is afraid of the people.
Yeah, true.
I think that's good. Hey, look at this! We got a Congratulations! Now we're talking. Hey, Remco, how you doing?
I'm good. Sorry for joining late. I kind of missed the
registration.
No, not the registration. I registered, but then I got a notification and I missed it.
No problem. Well,
I'm a bit late, sorry.
no, Marion and I have been talking. I don't know, Marion, do you know Remco? Remco, do you know Marion?
No. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise, likewise.
Marion is SSP 21, MSS 22. Remco, I don't know your pedigree. Why don't you tell us?
SSP 13.
SSP 13. Wow.
It's always the last one.
Where was it?
Strasbourg.
Oh, nice. Oh, we are all from SSP Strasbourg.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
you know, it was the one that was supposed to be in Brazil. And that's
Ah,
Yeah, Brazil, Strasbourg. It's like almost the same.
almost the
Well,
same.
I was very disappointed when the announcement came in March that we were going to Strasbourg. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was the best SSP ever, of course. SSP 13 is definitely the best, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that it was going to be 4 hours away from home instead of a nice flight to an exotic place.
Where are you from?
Netherlands. Well, I'm in the UK
Okay.
now. Originally, I'm
Okay.
in the Netherlands. So that was in my home turf, but I'm having revenge this year. I'm a TP chair for SSP 23.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going
Which
to
TP?
Brazil this year.
Which TP?
Smart cities.
Okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, that's kind of exciting. My claim to fame is that, you know, I created those the graphics for the TPs using DALL-E.
Did you? Oh, I saw that in the okay.
Yeah. So I did a whole bunch of, so once DALL-E came out, I started doing a whole bunch of stuff for ISU and stuff. And it was funny. I had all these pictures and I sent them to ISU, the staff. I said, hey, look at all these cool visuals I'm making. Because I was putting like university buildings with a galactic background, and people rushing up and a bunch of flags and stuff. And I sent all these photos to the staff and I got nothing back. There was no response. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, these people are either like really busy and working hard and they don't have time to respond to the, you know, the playful things I'm doing. But I'm kind of amazed, you know, because there's so many cool images. And I wasn't even, I mean, if I went back and did that now with Midjourney, you know, it would look so different. It would look
Oh God,
very cool.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, so no, I think it's a great set of TPs this year, and we'll see how it goes. Brazil's going to be fantastic, and it looked like you know, Remco, you were there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean,
Oh yeah.
What are the TPs this year?
There's 4 TPs this year. So I'm doing the TP smart cities. The location where we are, the campus is the first certified smart city in Brazil. So, we're looking at what space can mean for smart cities. There's another one that is very related, which is about water security. Focus primarily on Latin America, but worldwide. François Pierrot, he's
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Then we have situational awareness.
Those boxes, when you get on the top, you have the plus right to them. So you are
He was the
and for some companies, when the like the
Okay.
Then we have a very
I was gonna say, Marion, is it okay if you mute while you're not talking, just because we're getting a lot of background? Go, Remco.
Oh, okay, I was wondering where that came from. But yeah, so, and the fourth TP is an interesting one. It's about the metaverse. It is, the chair is Jacob Cohen and Jim Green. I hope you know Jim Green, the former head of science for NASA, very exciting. He now works for the Meta Visionaries. Well, he's an advisor for them. He's retired, of course, but he's an advisor for the Meta Visionaries, a new company from Saudi Arabia, of all places, and they are doing a TP to see what space can mean for the metaverse and what the metaverse can mean for space. And it's going to be very new, very exciting, and very interesting. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, this is really nice. It's like, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, great selection. So we'll see. We'll see.
I was gonna show you guys some of the DALL-E photos that I did here, and so let me see if I can blow them up. So this is where I was doing ISU pictures, you know, pictures of, you know, because the original idea was the MIT building, right, in orbit around the moon, which is the original poster.
SSP 88 or 89 poster.
That was 88.
Yeah.
That was 88. And so around the moon. So I was like kind of using those themes, let me go to the top here. So, here it's sort of like a, MIT McLaurin building is the name of that building. So it had, again, these are very cartoony. And I was doing, and then even when I did photorealistic images, it gave images that are distinctly different than what you'd get out of Midjourney. So I'd love to try this in Midjourney. I ended up coming, I'm big time into the colorful nebula kind of background. So you can, it's pretty. Then I started coming up here with look at a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy image of hundreds of students entering a neoclassic style library on an alien planet with a background of colorful nebula. And so I ended up with these. And so I ended up with this one right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, the third one on this top row. And so I started doing variations on it. This one is the one that I liked. And I think I made a ISU background of it, but I superimposed International Space University there along the pediment. But it's got all the people rushing in. And so, and then this is astronauts floating around in a virtual classroom. So then I started zooming in on these ones with flags, like this one, these ones here. Here's one with the French flag in front of it, And so I just started having some fun. Then I had a young student in an urban setting stepping through a space portal and with neoclassic structure.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah. So these are kind of fun. I mean, these are fun images to try. I mean, it's really kind of something that could really be a lot of fun. I also took a whole journey down this idea of, I wanted to do a rocket in the style of Hansi. Hansi is an Alsatian artist, right? The little Alsatian, girls with the big bows and stuff. But Dali didn't seem to be able to pick up on the Hansi reference. So, I mean, my favorite color is orange. So I started putting a 3D rendering of a large orange rocket in the foreground and the Cathedral of Strasbourg in the background. So I've got all these images here. And in fact, so like, look at this one over here, this one here, right there. This one, the prompt here was a painting of a rocket in front of the Strasbourg Cathedral. And I wanted the whole image to be a painting, but it made it a painting of a rocket there on a canvas in front of the cathedral, which I thought was funny. And then here, let me show you. So then I started playing around with this. And again, orange is my favorite color. So I had the rocket there and there's many, many images. I took one of these images and I made it the background of my watch.
Cool. Some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are very cool. So this is
they're really cool.
This is the one right here that I'm using as my watch background.
Cool.
Can't see it, but I superimpose the time and the date and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's some very cool stuff. Oh, so this is it. This is what my watch looks like.
All right.
That's my watch face. So it's kind of fun. I've got Strasbourg on my thing all the time. So I've been using DALL-E quite a bit. And so just more recently getting into Midjourney. And I just upgraded to ChatGPT Plus because I think these sort of, I don't know how you guys feel about the AI that's coming along, but it's either going to cause the end of humanity as we know it. We're either going to be extinct in the next 60 days, because this is just going to totally, the bad elements could take this and could do things.
Oh, sure.
Sophisticated things with this that totally fuck everything up. I mean, the United States Congress has not figured out how to deal with Twitter and Facebook, and they're 20 years old, right? I mean, now you got ChatGPT 4. GPT-4 is out, and holy cow, people still, I talked to a bunch of people and say, hey, have you tried ChatGPT? No, what's that? And it's like,
oh, wow, really?
Okay. Yeah. And so we're either going to be dead because of this, they're going to whatever, do a bunch of bad stuff that I can't even imagine, or we're going to survive it. And people are going to learn how to use this in a really sophisticated way. Wow. And so I want to be on that other end. If I'm going to die, I want to do it being on the sophisticated end of use. And so I've started watching YouTube videos and stuff. When you start seeing people not just write code with this, people are writing CSS code and Python code with this and all that sort of stuff. I've been investigating how to use it to scrape websites. I've been investigating it, how to use it to take in data from Excel spreadsheets and manipulate that data. But when you start seeing people basically with words verbally program it to do things and then run it as a program, now we're having fun. And so this is kind of where we're at. We got to figure out how to use this thing, because any activities that I've wanted to do using AI, for example, to scrape websites, to sift and sort data so that then it can be used for further research. If I can get ChatGPT to do that for me, right? Instead of, I was paying an intern, to write Python code, to do a bunch of stuff, and to work with qualitative data analysis tools and contextual analysis tools and data dictionaries and machine learning and stuff. If I can get ChatGPT, and we're talking GPT-4, to do that kind of thing instead, that would be amazing. So this is,
but yeah.
This is where I'm heading with that. So this is what I'm hoping we can do with it, because the more sophisticated we get with this, the better, right?
Sure, but I mean, as an education institute, on the other hand, we have to learn how to deal with this from an academic point of view, and that was a discussion in the last meeting that we had just last week for SSP, and I'm sure that this is a thing in any university anywhere in the world, is how do we now avoid ChatGPT and other AI taking over from all the academic writing that people are doing and learning, and all the papers for IAC. I mean, I can write an IC paper in 5 minutes now.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, so if you go to the playground, so I just discovered the GPT playground area, and in there they've got a tool that will sort of review text to see if it was written by to try to assess whether it was written by AI or not. That's one thing. But I'm an adjunct at Virginia Tech, and for our business class, we decided to go to a way of doing case studies that was sort of, it used to be just written stuff and people writing stuff and interacting. And we decided not to do that. We're going to live sessions now and trying to grade the live interaction, because we were reacting to ChatGPT back in November, December timeframe. But since then, other folks have come out saying, hey, listen, I'm not worrying about it. If my students want to use ChatGPT, let them, because I'm going to know that's not their writing, because they don't write that well. It's not going to be hard to tell that they did not write this. And
just because it's too good.
Yeah, right. Well, that's it. People can't write that well. So, maybe 1 or 2% or maybe 5% are doing it and getting away with it, and it's their loss. But the other people aren't going to be able to get away with it because they just don't write that well. Right. And so there's a lot of, these days I'm sort of I sort of think that we, for our class, overreacted, because the level of burden on grading Zoom calls and the interactions from transcripts and stuff is super hard compared to the way we're used to doing it, which is just written submission. And I think we overreacted. And so I'm sort of leaning the other way these days. We're saying, hey, listen, back in the 1970s, I remember I graduated in 1978 from high school. So I remember chemistry in high school. So that'd be 1975, 1976. These were just coming out. The TI-30 was just, becoming affordable. And everybody, the same discussion. Oh my God, people aren't going to know what 7 times 7 is. They're going to use a computer. Guess what? Same thing. It's just, orders of magnitude different and can destroy the world. But I don't think people have lost the ability to do math in the meantime. So I will say
it's going to change things. I mean, we can't stop it in an academic environment. It's just going to change the way we grade things, and I like that. But from an ISU point of view, we need to have sort of policy, an academic policy, I guess, on how to deal with it. I'm sure the academic council and the people there are worrying about all that stuff. But yeah,
I mean, my 2 cents would be one size doesn't fit all. So the policy's got to be flexible instead of, less strict than more strict. And once it becomes less strict, it becomes adaptable, and it becomes,
well, that's the thing, because right now you can still see whether it's written by AI, but when the AI would be better, will be even better, then you can say, write it in the style of a college student, and you won't be able to recognize it anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, again, those students are cheating themselves.
Well, they are and they aren't. They're just using the tools of the time in a way, and things will change. They won't get worse because of it, but writing skills become less relevant. It's like doing mental maths. That's irrelevant because now we have computers that do it so much better.
I know that you disagree with that statement. I mean, because
No,
I
I
mean,
don't know. I'm just
yeah.
thinking out loud here.
But you're right. But
Answer.
well, it becomes, yeah, I guess it becomes a badge of honor to be able to say, I know my multiplicative inverses, you know, from, you know, top to bottom. And, you know, so it makes a lot of calculation in your head easy. But I don't know, I guess maybe you have to go with in-person exams, you know, handwritten exams, maybe, you know, maybe that's the ultimate arbiter there. Yeah, because like you said, people could have it written in a style so it makes it look like they're not as good a writer. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know
So
what the answer is.
I'm really in favor of having the discussion as to how can we embrace this thing? How can we make the academic output from our institute in general better based on this? I mean, I'm a copy editor, so I'm worried about my job. So I'm thinking about how can I adjust my job as a copy editor to make sure that I use this to my advantage. I can easily triple or quadruple my output now using these AI tools to write better text. I just need to fact check it, because of course ChatGPT sometimes get it really wrong. By the way, I don't think that will last very long. In about a year or two, ChatGPT will never get it wrong anymore. That's how fast it progresses, I guess. But how can I adjust my job as a copy editor to make sure that I still have a living? And I will have a living in a few years, I know that. But it just needs, it'll change.
Well, you know, and maybe there's a way to use ChatGPT to do the job, so you just get more done, I guess. You
Yeah,
know,
well, that's the thing. It increases productivity enormously, and the quality of the text it writes, is exactly as you say, is often better than when it's handwritten by me or one of my authors.
scary. So
Well,
I don't know. It's fun to it's.
I mean, the scary bit is what you triggered me is, okay, what if someone kind of programs this thing or orders this thing to, I don't know, to do bad,
take over the world, you know, whatever, to just, you know, to hack into satellites or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible. It's possible. So there's got to be these guardrails, and it's going to be interesting to see if we can catch up with that.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to you, Marie.
All right.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye, Mario.
Thanks for joining. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out how to get it to, how to program it to do the data analysis, or at least the data scraping and reduction that I needed to do. Because if that's possible, then we just made a huge advance.
No, I agree. I totally agree. It's just it's good to have these discussions, you know, to
Absolutely.
think about it, because this is new, but it's taking over things so quickly. I remember in 1991 or 1992, when I was in university, we had this discussion in kind of the little faculty committee, student committee that I was a member of, saying, hey, there's this thing called the internet.
Yeah, right.
What is it? And what can we do with it? How can we make it work to our benefit? And should we maybe have, I don't know, an evening lecture on this new thing? But the internet was really slow to take things over. And this ChatGPT thing, this AI thing, is kind of exploding. It's progressing so much faster than the internet did in the early 90s. That it's
I mean, the 1 million adoptions point, you know, happening days after its release, you know, and
it's not just about adoption. This thing adopts itself, and that is the scary thing. Again, exactly in sort of the way you described it. This thing doesn't need adoption to develop.
It's and I'm super excited about it, but boy, you know, you talk to anybody, almost everybody, and their initial reaction is fear. Their initial reaction is, oh my God, you know.
Well, even listen to whatever you think of him. Listen to Elon Musk. He's scared to death about AI and robots taking over, and he's constantly warning the world for this stuff, even though he's helping to develop it.
Yeah, right. He's part of OpenAI, so I mean, anywho, hey, listen, before we go, I with Marion, before you came on, I went through the crash course idea, and actually,
Well, I was there when you.
So in fact, I have a 5-page document that describes it. So I fed that 5-page document to ChatGPT and had and had it write a presentation, had
Okay.
it put together a presentation. Then I had to modify it a little bit, and then I did use the designer function in PowerPoint
Right.
to make it pretty and stuff. So it was actually not terrible. And so I ran her through that. But yeah, I'm in the process right now. I don't know if you saw on the LinkedIn page, I have a flyer.
I did. I mean, you're really taking this forward quite fast. So yeah, I saw it on social media. Of course I did.
I 8 to 12 weeks away. I'm 8 to 12 weeks away from banging out the first one.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I'm hoping, and I'm still making arrangements, making initial contacts, but I'm hoping, actually, in an ideal world, I would hold the first one in Boca Chica, and you know, and I'm also corresponding with folks at the Astronaut Memorial Foundation, because we'd be able to tie it into the Challenger and the Columbia accident, go see the remnants, the pieces,
Okay.
parts they've collected. Also, a third idea, I'm talking to somebody next week about having it up in New York City,
Cool.
up at Cornell Tech on Roosevelt Island, which is right across the river from the United Nations.
Nice place. Yeah.
Yeah, and so either a location, right?
Hey.
This is what we're talking about. And so I think people will, especially all these laid off Amazon and Facebook employees and stuff who were making very good money before they got fired, got a good severance package, and who want to get into the space industry. I think they'll be interested in buying, registering for this course at 5K to learn more about the space sector.
Yeah.
Right. And I know 5K is a high price compared to the executive space course, but it's not high price compared to 1 week long courses from management schools and things like that. So
Aren't you making it too exclusive? I mean, 5K for me is 4 months revenue of my own business. So there's absolutely no way I could ever afford that. But it is
Right.
people like me who would like to do this.
um
Do we want to make it that exclusive?
well, it's not intended to be exclusive, and that's that's why the word executive is not in it. It is
No, but still, at 5K, it becomes executive by nature, because there's 99% of people cannot afford that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a European perspective, because that's not nobody's going to blink. Nobody in the United States has blinked at that number.
Okay, no, in Europe that would make it virtually not work at all. 5K is outrageous.
And there are going to be geographic differences in terms of that sort of stuff.
Besides, it's not focused on Europe, so it's fine with me.
But I mean, to your question during that global faculty email, this could travel. This absolutely could. And
Well, that's the
to be
thing to
adjustments.
have in mind,
Yeah, but we are definitely focused into here. The primary intent, of course, is to generate revenue for ISU North America to establish a permanent presence.
Sure.
So I think the idea is getting better through comments like yours, and I'm socializing it around. So I definitely appreciate your participation and interest. This is the toughest time slot to get people during these Zoom calls.
Really?
I'll have more people. I'll have more people at my noontime slot, which is 6 p.m. Europe time, and then my 8 p.m. time. I'll actually get some folks from Australia in it.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Well, it's hard because this time slot was intended for Australia and China. And
Was it? Yeah, it's like early evening there now, isn't it? Yeah.
And that was the point, to try to set it up early evening in the different locations, because folks will be coming home from work, kind of thing. But anyway, hey, listen, we're coming up to the top of the hour. I'm gonna cut this off. If you want, we could continue talking after. I'm totally happy with that. Or if not, I'll just let you go. And if you have any,
let me know about this crash course, because I'm very interested in participating in any shape or form I can, but also help you perhaps, especially when this goes international, but even in its current state, to help market it.
No, that would be fantastic. And I'll really benefit from the help of alumni and stuff getting the words around. In terms of the faculty part, actually for the first one, I'm kind of pulling together like what I would consider like the all-star team from 20 years ago.
Of course.
I'm pulling in people who know ISU like super well, who could do this lecture in their stream. So I'm talking to folks here. I'll tell you what, let me stop the recording here for a second, and then I'll tell you who I'm talking. Stop recording. Stop recording.